you know what? The stasis pods have just descended. Everyone falls to the deck, and oh my god, the warp shell is surrounded by fire. Roll initiative. This kind of ties into our last topic. Making, this is more as a DM, making your individual characters shine, like the players' characters shine. Cooperating with your players and listening to what they're saying and really understanding what they're creating will allow the DM to tailor rooms and challenges and whatever to the specific characters. But let's talk about what we as DMs do to make those tailored encounters for your rogue rather than your cleric, or making every player's character feel cool and avoiding like class bias.
For me on this topic, probably I would go back to conversation. Certainly I have ideas about what I think I could do to highlight my characters, and design rooms and encounters and mechanics specifically to make them shine. But in addition to that, I think it's helpful also to just simply ask them and say, hey, what do you like the most about your character? What's the coolest thing that your character does that you really like? And that may happen in a post-session feedback session, or even informally over tacos. But I'm probably going to ask those questions, and then I'm going to use what they give me to try to help design some of those encounters to help make them shine. I have had it backfire on me because sometimes what I think is the coolest thing about their character is not what they think is the coolest thing. Yeah. I've also designed a room to let my shadow shine, and as it turns out, it was actually my blade who ended up shining in that room. So I have had that happen, but truthfully, I would just simply ask and try to use what they give me to tailor the encounters, and that's all I have to say about that.
Hank, you're next.
I probably subconsciously tailor what's going on a little bit to who's who, but I don't think I want to admit to it. I think most of the time I'll actually zero the coolest guy and want to take his stick away. But I think the thing that I do is this. You guys have probably noticed me do it, and sometimes I feel really silly doing it. But in the heat of the moment, I just do it. I've done it since I was holy crap! Everyone's still alive?
Sorry. Yes, my wife sneezed.
That was oh no, that's kung fu. That's not.
Yep.
D4 for damage.
You're being attacked by ninjas.
Constitution save.
This is where Constitution comes in handy.
Sonic boom. Anyway, I feel silly doing it, but every time we get into the heat of the moment playing a game, since I was like young, I do it, which is I guess you could call it micro recap, or it's also sort of like play-by-play. So if a character or a player does something, they do their little thing, right? I want to blah, then they roll, hey, I did the blah. Then I do this every damn time, I swear, and you're like, oh, okay, that was 8 damage, damn, that was a nice hit, well done, sweet, okay, moving forward. Bloody blah, who just bloody blah, and then they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna jump over this thing, and then they roll a 20. I don't know, they don't even get the 20, they get a normal roll. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, you cleared right over that thing, you got right over there. Okay, so that puts you on the other side of here. Way to go, that was dope. Okay, next guy, and I just find myself freaking doing this as if it's not obvious what just happened, but I just can't help it. I just wind up doing it. I always call out like first blood, and I always like call out like how one person's thing they did actually relates to what the other person was just doing. I'll almost always recap the two numbers that just happened. Like, ooh, man, you finally got a 14. You've been rolling 6s all night. Nice. And that kind of crap. And I know sometimes I sound like sort of silly when I'm doing it, especially on some of the, like on Savages of Cath and stuff, like got really excited about it. It got all crazy and, like recapping the stats every single turn. But in my experience, even if things aren't going your way, or if somebody is not class fit to what's happening, it's that sort of high bar of silliness or of enthusiasm. If you're the one who's the most stoked about 7 damage,
and Energy.
then people can feel totally comfortable to like shit their pants when they do hit damage.
If I can add to that, it's
So that's my jam. That's how I try to make everybody feel great, is to just, sort of John Madden play-by-play as the play unfolds.
Yeah.
if I can put in a second. It's the energy concept that you talked about. If the GM has the energy, everybody's gonna have the energy.
I've had a hard time for the past games that I ran. I mean, for the last entire year, I guess, to bring energy to my table, and I don't want to blame my players, but I have to blame my players now. I used to think it was my fault, and they were having fun, and I was trying to make their character shine. I was trying to go in their backstory. I was almost doing class quests. I was trying everything to like make their character be more than just stat sheet. Okay, and at the end of the day, the wizard is charging with a wooden plank and smashing zombies, and I'm like, why are you doing this? I don't know what's going on. I placed those things for you. This street is obviously made for you, and it's not because I don't, like Alex said, maybe I should ask them, but I finally understood, and they just want to fight, and they want to be in a video game and do damage. And the problem is I'm not the GM for them. I think I have to come to that conclusion that I need to stop this game and find other people.
It's really
It's kind of weird. It feels like I'm confessing actually at the end, but I think, I don't know if someone wants to add on that and give me tips or something, but this is a call for help.
Just confess to them. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's being honest is really important there. I don't know. I have a lot of like performance background and history, so I don't really have much of a problem like, creating an air of like, oh man, the lid of the sarcophagus, erupts in a pyre of green flame as armor, winds its way around, forming this black masked lich. And, like my players were so like, some of them were a little bit scared by that, but it also led to some of the greatest moments where, from there, the most unexpected thing happened. The dwarf fighter, who was right next to this giant pillar of green fire as it erupted, tried to bargain with the lich for their safe passage through the rest of the dungeon. And he almost made his charisma roll. Because it's like he's this dwarf fighter who rolled like a 16 in his stats for that. So he's got like a +1 or 2 or something silly like that. But it was great. But it's like keeping the energy is important to keep your table vibrant and alive, because that was a really long session, and that was the end of a really long session. But yeah, that was just something I actually kind of forgot what we were even talking about in the first place. What was our topic for this one?
My depression.
Yeah, call for help. It threw me off.
Oh yeah, the confession threw me off too.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh shoot. What were we talking about actually on a serious note?
Tailoring your adventure.
Tailoring adventures, right? Yeah. So I don't know if it's that important to like make sure that your adventure is tailored for this particular character, unless if you have like a really small group and you want to give them that one room encounter to really shine. But I do think it's important to keep an eye on the party composition and to not make encounters that are unsolvable or unsolvable based on people's choices in creating said characters, because nobody wants to get in that situation where it's like the only way you're going to survive is if you have a healer, and there's no healer in the party. That is not fun for anybody. That is not fun for anybody. At the same time, I'm working on creating a custom class and index card with one of my players, a summoner, and our last adventure kind of accidentally highlighted the awesomeness that is the outsider. So, now I gotta do something for my summoner, because he didn't really do a whole lot of like truly awesome stuff in there. I did what I could, but so I'm gonna introduce a new like summoning circle mechanic into that adventure, so that he has things that kind of make him stand out, and then the rest of the players will do what makes them awesome. So, yeah, I think tailoring is important to keep in mind, but to be careful not to try to single out a specific character or a specific class. Particularly if you as a game master really wanted to make a game that involved magic and nobody's a fragment or mage. You got like 6 gunners running around. Well, then you kind of probably want to retool a bit of your encounters to match that theme.
Right.
Well, thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
Did we do the full circle?
No, Matt is the last.
Oh, it's my go. It's my go.
Can you roll another d20 to see if you have a...
I rolled a 1.
See if you have a critical fail.
Yeah, maybe you missed your chance to speak.
I might lose my turn. Oh, natural 20. Suck ass. No. Oh, you know what? Short and sweet though. I in making all of my characters shine, I am particularly something that frustrates me as a player that I try not to do as a DM is have class bias. Like I really think that the barbarian and a fighter are awesome, and I hate the paladin and I hate the sorcerer, right? I just hate them, right? but that's my preference. That's not that player's preference. So I'll still make sure to like put stuff in the adventure that makes them feel cool. A game that I had to drop over this and other stuff was one in which they were giving everything to the sorcerer and the bard, and there were 6 of us, so I was just like, all I want to do is hit that with my axe, okay? And it's twisting spells and rolling a bucket of dice, and it's like, okay, well, I hit it with my axe finally. That frustrates players. That's frustrating. As the DM, if you can make that go quickly by by giving everyone ample time to do something cool, but at the same time, kind of focusing what they're doing inside that time, you'll be everyone will be better for it. I also like to make sure every player has their own story inside the story of like a campaign. What I mean by that is that, yeah, great. Our ultimate goal is to travel to Northrend and kill the Witch King or something like that, right? but inside that, on the way, my barbarian might feel like, uncovering his father's ancestral sword that was stolen unjustly, and when the player finally achieves that, they feel cool. They've got the red blade of Antioch or something, and they finally have achieved something without having to get all the way through the campaign. Also, just putting them in positions that make them feel cool. Like let that barbarian be a barbarian. Like if he's there to shatter heads, and it's been the last 2 sessions have been all RP and political intrigue. Let him crush some goblins. Let him crush a tide of goblins. He'll feel cool. Yeah, I mean that's all that I can really think about.